It is a day that many never thought would come. A man who once strode the corridors of power like a colossus, who governed Kaduna State for 8 years, who was unapologetic, combative, and untouchable, at least that was the perception, is now going to spend some days in a cell at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission headquarters in Abuja. Former Governor Nasir El-Rufai is in EFCC custody today, and according to sources, he will not be going home anytime soon. Not today, at least. Before we go deep into this story, I want to ask you something. Do you believe that no one should be above the law, regardless of their position or influence? If you do, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. We need your support to keep bringing these stories as they unfold. Now, let's get into the gist. It started on a Monday, like many dramatic moments in Nigerian politics do. El-Rufai presented himself at the EFCC headquarters in Abuja. This was not a dramatic arrest on the streets with cameras flashing. No, this was a calculated move. He had been invited by investigators probing allegations of financial improprieties during his time as governor of Kaduna State from 2015 to 2023. Many thought it would be a routine thing. Go in, answer some questions, maybe make a statement, and leave. After all, this is El-Rufai we are talking about, a man who has survived political battles that would have broken lesser men, a man who has been a minister, a governor, and now a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, a man who speaks truth to power, or so his supporters say.
But here's where the story takes a turn. By evening, news began to filter out. El-Rufai was not going anywhere. An EFCC source confirmed it plainly. He is in our custody, and he is going to spend the night there. Now, at this point, let's pause and think about what that means. A former governor, a man who once controlled the entire machinery of a state, who had police commissioners, army generals, and directors of security under his watch, is now sleeping on a bed that is not his, behind doors that are locked from the outside. The source added that his release would depend on the outcome of the ongoing questioning and the progress made by investigators. He might regain freedom after further interrogation scheduled for Tuesday, but as of tonight, he remains in custody. Now, let's talk about why he is there. And this is where the story gets really heavy. In 2024, the Kaduna State House of Assembly did something that shook the political establishment. They released a report indicting El-Rufai over allegations involving the diversion of about 423 billion naira in public funds. We are talking about alleged money laundering activities on a massive scale. 423 billion naira. Let that number sink in for a moment. To put it in perspective, that is more than the entire annual budget of some states in Nigeria. That is money that could have built schools, hospitals, roads, and provided clean water for millions of people. That is money that belonged to the people of Kaduna State. The lawmakers who investigated these allegations didn't just whisper about it in corridors. They made a formal recommendation. They urged anti-graft agencies to launch a full criminal investigation into the financial dealings of the El-Rufai administration. For months, nothing seemed to happen. El-Rufai continued his life as a political heavyweight. He granted interviews, he made pronouncements, he remained a controversial but undeniable voice in national debates. Many began to think that, like so many before him, he would escape scrutiny. But today, he is in EFCC custody. Let me ask you this. How many former governors are walking free tonight while their states struggle to pay salaries? How many are living comfortably in Abuja or Dubai while their people suffer? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it.
In a twist of events that unfolded in the past few days, here's a story that gets even more interesting. The 423 billion naira fraud allegation is not the only thing El-Rufai is facing. There is another case, and this one involves something straight out of a spy thriller. If you are just joining us, I want to remind you to please subscribe to this channel. These are the stories that need to be told, and your subscription helps us keep telling them. Now, let me take you back to February 13th, 2026. El-Rufai was a guest on Arise TV's primetime program. He was there to discuss national issues, as he often does. But during that interview, he said something that would come back to haunt him. He admitted on live television that he and others had unlawfully intercepted the phone communications of the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. Yes, you heard that right. He admitted to phone tapping on national TV. Now, let's think about this for a moment. Nuhu Ribadu is not just any official. He is the National Security Advisor. He deals with the most sensitive security information in the country. His communications are supposed to be classified, protected, sacrosanct. And here was a former governor on live television admitting that he had intercepted those communications. The federal government noticed, and they did not find it amusing. By February 16, 2026, just 3 days after that interview, the federal government had filed charges against El-Rufai at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The charge is marked FHC CR 99/2026. The complainant is the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The defendant, sole defendant, is Malam Nasir El-Rufai, aged 65. Let me walk you through the 3 counts because they are important. Count 1 alleges that on February 13, 2026, while appearing on Arise TV, El-Rufai admitted that he and his cohorts unlawfully intercepted the phone communications of Nuhu Ribadu. This, the prosecution says, is an offense contrary to and punishable under Section 12(1) of the Cybercrimes Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Amendment Act 2024. Count 2 goes further. It alleges that during the same interview, El-Rufai stated that he knows and relates with certain individuals who unlawfully intercepted Ribadu's phone communications, and that he failed to report these individuals to relevant security agencies. This is contrary to Section 27B of the same Cybercrimes Amendment Act. Count 3 is perhaps the most serious. It alleges that El-Rufai and others still at large, sometime in 2026 in Abuja, used technical equipment or systems to unlawfully intercept the NSA's phone communications. The charge states that this act compromised public safety and national security and instilled reasonable apprehension of insecurity among Nigerians. This is contrary to Section 1312 of the Nigerian Communications Act 2003. Now, let's read between the lines here. The authorities are not just concerned about a former governor tapping a phone. They are concerned that this was part of a broader pattern of interception of sensitive and classified communication. In plain language, they suspect that El-Rufai and his associates were listening in on conversations they had no business hearing, conversations that could compromise national security. This is the point where I need to ask you, what do you think about a former governor allegedly tapping the NSA's phone? Is this just political rivalry, or is it something more dangerous? Let me know in the comments.
Now, let's talk about El-Rufai himself, because to understand the weight of this moment, we need to understand the man. Nasir El-Rufai is not your average Nigerian politician. He is a technocrat by training, a former minister of the Federal Capital Territory under President Olusegun Obasanjo. He was known then as a reformer, someone who took on powerful interests and didn't back down. He was controversial then too, but many admired his courage. As governor of Kaduna State for 8 years, he was unapologetic. He closed schools, reformed the civil service, took on traditional institutions, and made enemies and friends in equal measure. He was never a quiet politician. He spoke his mind, often bluntly, often without regard for political correctness. But tonight, none of that matters. Tonight, he is just a detainee, like thousands of others who have passed through EFCC cells. Tonight, the power and influence, the connections and the network, the bravado and the confidence, all of that is on hold. Whatever you think of El-Rufai, he is a human being. He has a family. He has children who love him. He has supporters who believe in him. Tonight, they are not sleeping easy. Tonight, they are worried, anxious, perhaps even afraid. This is the reality of anti-corruption battles. They are not abstract. They affect real people, real families, real lives.
Now, we have to address the elephant in the room. Whenever a prominent politician, especially one from the opposition, is detained by the EFCC, the question arises, is this justice or is this persecution? El-Rufai is now a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress. He was a founding member of the All Progressive Congress, but his relationship with the current administration has been, to put it mildly, complicated. He has spoken out against government policies, he has criticized the president, he has positioned himself as an opposition figure. So the question many are asking tonight is simple. Is this a genuine anti-corruption drive? Or is it the government using its agencies to silence a critic? The EFCC would say, of course, that they are simply doing their job. The Kaduna State House of Assembly report provided evidence, the Arise TV interview provided an admission, the law must take its course. But let's be honest, in Nigeria, nothing is ever that simple. The timing is interesting, the charges are serious, the man is politically exposed, and the government has the power. From this point, we need to understand that this case will be watched closely, not just in Nigeria, but internationally. How it is handled will send a message about whether Nigeria is serious about fighting corruption or whether the anti-corruption agencies are just tools in political battles. Let me ask you, do you believe El-Rufai is being targeted because of his political stance, or do you believe he should face the music like anyone else? This is a critical question. Drop your answer in the comments.
So, what happens now? First, interrogation continues. El-Rufai is expected to be questioned further on Tuesday. Depending on what he says, depending on the evidence, depending on his cooperation, he may be released or he may face formal charges. Second, the court case over the phone-tapping allegations will proceed. El-Rufai will have to appear in court, either in person or through his lawyers, to answer to the 3 counts filed against him. Third, the EFCC investigation into the 423 billion naira fraud allegations will continue. This is a complex case involving 8 years of governance, multiple contracts, numerous officials, and billions of naira. It will not be resolved quickly. And fourth, the political reactions will pour in. His supporters will cry witch hunt. His opponents will celebrate. The government will say little. The media will dissect every development. But through all of this, we must not lose sight of what matters most, the truth. Did 423 billion naira of public funds go missing? If so, where did it go? Did El-Rufai or anyone under his watch intercept the NSA's phone communications? If so, why? And what did they hear? These are questions that deserve answers. Not political answers, not partisan answers, real answers.
Going forward, there is a bigger lesson in this story for all of us. And it is this: no matter how powerful you become, no matter how long you serve, no matter how many battles you win, accountability has a long arm. El-Rufai governed Kaduna for 8 years. For 8 years, he controlled the levers of power. For 8 years, he made decisions that affected millions. For 8 years, he was in many ways untouchable. But today, he is in his cell. This should serve as a warning to every public official, every governor, every minister, every local government chairman. The files don't disappear when you leave the office. The evidence doesn't burn. The questions don't go away. And for the rest of us, citizens who have no power, who pay taxes, who suffer when roads are bad and hospitals are empty and schools are broken, this is a moment to pay attention. Because that 423 billion naira, if it was stolen, was our money. It belonged to the people of Kaduna, yes, but in a larger sense, it belonged to Nigeria. It was money that could have been used for development, for progress, for the common good. If El-Rufai is innocent, he will have his day in court. If he is guilty, he should face the consequences. That is how justice works. That is how societies move forward. Today, one man is in custody. But the work of building that Nigeria continues. And it requires all of us, citizens, media, civil society, and yes, even the government, to play our parts. Once again, I want to ask you to please like this video, share it. Let's keep this conversation going. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. We will be watching this case closely, and we will bring you every update as it happens.